Welcome everybody to OBF1's Multiplayer Monday League Race. This is our coloured teams championship, as hopefully you've grown to love as much as we have. It's also known as the Power Ranger League, but I'll drop those jokes for the time being. My name's Webbo, be your commentator for the evening, and joining me for the last time is our big fan of the league, Carrera fan. Hey man.
Hey Webbo, good to be back for a final time. It's a shame, but we're going to hopefully end it on a high here at the Interlagos. So.
Yes, indeed. We're going to go into our one-shot quali as usual, and the drivers are just starting their fast laps. So let's ride on board and see who's going fastest. At the moment it looks to be half actually for the yellow team. Somewhat unusually, we usually have Taylor right at the front here, so I wonder if Taylor's going to get that pole position back.
We've got CDM disqualified, parked in a dangerous situation, so that's a very odd thing, but that's not going to help him as he's retired. Now a few median runners, in fact CDM, one of them Mr. Spin and Lil Jim, so they're going for that different strategy around here.
Yes, interesting, absolutely interesting. Whoa, Harv has made a massive error there, so he won't be getting this pole position. It looks to be Taylor. It looks like Taylor's gonna get it again, just through Yun Sao and away up the hill. Carrera, I don't think Tany's gonna catch him.
Nah, Taylor looks to be very comfortable. All he's got to do is stay on the inside, and he easily gets pole. 106.574. Great lap from him. P1 and P2 for Team Red. Front row lockout.
Brilliant stuff. H. Taylor from Paul Harrison, and then Towney for the yellow team. Towney, a new recruit. I know his driving from elsewhere, and I'm sure the yellow team are very grateful to have Towney join in. I've just heard from Little Jim that it's going to be a dry race as well. So here's your... Oh wow! From nowhere, it's reading that Mr. Spin got first. I think that's a glitch because he hasn't got a time registered against him. So we'll make the assumption that Taylor got pole from Paul Harrison, Towney, Chris Samet, AJM, Mogi, Little Jim, Moshe and Chandler, and Pedro make out your top 10. Then SR Sanchez, Golden Wolf, Ratho, CDM, Harv, and I think Mr. Spin will start with free choice of tyres. But let's see how it all shakes out.
It's going to be very helpful for Mr. Spin if he starts in P1 with free tyre choice, but I think the lobby is a bit glitch as well. Harv did technically finish the lap. It says no time, but I'm surprised he's actually behind CDM when CDM disqualified early on, so
right.
It could just be a little glitch, but I hope it doesn't cost any of our drivers for the race.
Well, remember that we don't even have a formation lap here, so I've just got time to tell you the red team are ahead with 98 points to 86 with the blue team. Green team in third position, and the yellow team a long way back, as we know all about the yellow team's perils. And in the Drivers' Championship, H. Taylor has a 5-point lead over Chris Samet, with Little Jim, Paul Harrison, and Stephen Tino making out the top 5. Taylor, our latest winner, and but we've also had wins from Harrison and Little Jim. So those are your highest starting drivers, and we're going with our start lights, and we're away. This is the Brazilian Grand Prix. It looks a bit of a difficult start for the yellow team. H. Taylor getting ahead, Towney getting possibly ahead of Paul Harrison there. Straight away, Mr. Spin has dropped down. He did legitimately start from the front. I'm not quite sure how that worked, but we're about to go 3 wide down the Reta Oposta straight and into Descida do Lago, as looks like Paul Harrison is trying to stay ahead of Towney. A little bit of wheel banging. We've got a long race ahead of us, boys. Let's keep it clean on the first lap. So, red team, 1-2 as it stands. Towney not willing to give it up just yet, Carrera.
No, he's lost it, but this is a horrible thing for Mr. Spin. Started first with free tyre choice, went on to the hards, but he's down in last with critical damage to his front wing.
Wow, okay. Incredible set of bizarre fortune for Mr. Spin there. Start first with no expectation of such, certainly in the comms box. The soft runners really benefiting from the initial bite that those tyres give them there. Screaming into the center S's. We've got Chandler and Mosher swapping places. Nice bit of side-by-side and racing room action going on. They head down the Retro-Aposta straight. Struggling for a good camera angle, and we've got contact, and I think that was Mosher just turning around, unfortunately. So some of our first bad luck. We've got Harv in the pits already, Carrera. I'm not quite sure what that's about.
Yeah, Harv actually, I'm not actually sure. There was a lot of contact into turn 1 from Team Yellow. I'm surprised there's no safety car, because looking around the whole track, there's so much debris everywhere. Turn 1, turn 2, even all the way through the second sector. So, speaking as second sector, we've lost Zé Pedro, has spun, he's got a 5-second penalty. So lots of people losing and getting damage.
Very interesting. Yeah, amazing stuff at the start here. We've got the usual suspects at the front, Taylor and Paul Harrison. Chris Sammet in 4th, having an uncharacteristically high start, and we know what his racecraft's like, so he's in a great position, starting on the softs, as have all of the top 5, and a handful of cars in the rest of the field. Hard runners all at the back, trying, I believe, Guerrero, to try and get the hard tyres to the end from here.
It can be a very difficult thing, especially there's a big elevation change going into turn 1, turn 2, of course in the sector 2 and 3. So, of course, on the rears, when you climb the hill, you want to put a bit more throttle than you'd want, but then, of course, if you put too much, you'll be spinning the other way round. So, they've got to try and make this stint go as long as they can, and then do the same thing with the hards. But the grid is really reshuffling now with lots of people pitting.
Absolutely. We've got CDM seems to be driving a one-man team at the moment. I've got a green car, Mogi, in the wall in Young Sao on the outside and dropping down. I think he might be able to recover, but that's caused that yellow flag. But yeah, CDM should be driving, I believe, for the blue team, but has got just a small blue accent on the car, a special Brazil livery, shall we say, for that car, with Chandler hunting him down. Yeah,
it's been a horrible start for Team Yellow. All 3 drivers, P12, P15 and P16, have boxed, so they've only got Towney essentially in the points.
Yeah, absolutely. Towney representing the team in the top 10 on his own at the moment. The rest of the teams are relatively well spread out, but currently drivers fighting for position. We're watching with Chandler and CDM. There aren't any other closer battles on the grid at the moment, so your order on lap 4 is Taylor from Paul Harrison, both for the red team, followed by Towney, Chris Sammet and Little Jim for the first of the green cars in P5 right now. And we've also got 3 of the green team at the foot of the field as well.
We've also had the bottom 2 yellow runners have been lapped, of course, now, so this is really costly unless they don't make a box and wait for the front runners to do. They've really got to they have to stay out, even if there's a safety car, because they need to get rid of that lap that the leader has taken off them.
Very true. It's gone into a slight bit of a stalemate situation up and down the grid at the moment, Carrera. Big gaps. Still Chandler and CDM the closest runners. Are we in a tyre saving phase for these softs?
Well, if you want to go one stopper, you need to treat these softs very nicely, because a 2-stopper is possible around here. So it's going to have to come into a tyre management, and same for when it comes to the next stint on the hards.
Yeah.
But of course, the 2 red cars have got to be nice to each other as well, because they've got Towney behind, so they can't exactly manage.
Absolutely. So lap 5 already. The laps do tick by very quickly here in Brazil. Got a yellow flag, sector 2, and we've got some penalties already They may be down to contact potentially. Yeah, we've got maybe 1 5-second that might have been caught in the pits from Zapedro heading into the pits there as he did with just track limit abuses. It's quite easy, Carrera, to trip over track limits here.
Yeah, it's up and down. It's like a roller coaster, as Lando Norris once said. But he's got it's very difficult, of course, because some corners are blind corners, and of course with the curbs you want to maximize your entry and your exit, so it's difficult, but it is possible to manage. But still, 3 penalties to our drivers currently now. Yeah,
absolutely. Looked like we had consecutive yellow sectors on the whole track for a moment, and I was getting concerned about our safety car prospects. I have to tell you, over the weekend, Carrera, I've watched an awful lot of safety car laps. So, there we go. We've got a green car of Golden Wolf. Yeah, he's 3 wheels on his wagon on the main straight, unfortunately. Whether he got into contact in the wall or he hit the pit entry or something, but our first safety car, and I imagine this is going to see some drivers come in to get rid of those soft tyres.
Yeah, 6 laps. Now's the time if you want to do a 2-stopper. Now's the time to box. Of course, the hards will not go to the end if you box now, so you've got to be very careful on what strategy you're going. But as well, speaking of the lapped cars, now Harv has been lapped, of course, because he boxed. That's 3 yellow cars that have been lapped. Only 1 in the points, and could remain like that, or even none. So yeah, the yellow team's got to have to go along with this stint because they need that red car and that leader to box to unlap themselves.
Absolutely, yeah, completely agree. They need to do what they can to get to that point on the track, but there's always plenty to play for here. Say hi to Lightning in the chat. Nice to have Lightning with us. There's always plenty to play for. With the new game dynamics and this point in the game's evolution, our drivers... Oh, it looks like one of the yellow cars was trying to unlap himself there, Carrera, under the safety car. I don't think they were cleared to do that by the game. But yes, we see plenty of failures and spins. Obviously, we've already lost Golden Wolf, sadly, and we could end up losing a lot more, so that it's definitely worth continuing to drive. I think there's points for more than just the top 10 because of this team nature of this championship.
This is definitely a good thing for Towney because he's got those 2 lapped cars of his teammates to protect him from Lil Jim, so he can get a little bit of a help from his teammate here, because at this point Harv doesn't have much he can do. He can't, of course, unlap himself under the safety car, but what he can do is protect his teammate.
Yep, very true. So Towney has managed to get the lead of the race here. I think that's down to the pit stops of Taylor and Paul Harrison. They've now gone on the hards. 0 laps completed by Taylor and Paul Harrison on those hard tyres. Strategic error from Towney? Do you think Carrera not going in with the rest of them?
Well, if he's aiming for a 1-stopper, he's got to get these softs to the end, of course. But it's a very odd choice at this point when majority of the field does look like they're going for the 2-stopper option now. There are a few cars on hards. In fact, actually speaking, our 2 leaders before they went in, Taylor and Paul Harrison, have gone to the hards. So yeah, they're looking to extend it to the end, but that's going to be a very difficult situation for them too.
I hope we're not going to have an extended safety car period here. We've got a new penalty for Ratho after contact with Harv, I think it was. Severe contact with his own teammate. Anyway, the lights will go off on the safety car, and we will be back to green flag racing very shortly. The yellow team coordinating this one potentially. Little Jim has got a lap car in between him and Towney, so Harv will be able to be a bit of a rear gunner here, Carrera, and they go green.
Harv right in the back of Towney here, so a little bit odd situation. Harv's on the mediums, Towney's on the soft, so Towney wants to get away, but of course Harv wants to unlap himself.
Yeah.
But the crucial thing is from Towney, he's got to get these softs to the end, but with the safety car he can at least push a little bit.
Absolutely. Looks like Is that Harv's ghost or a different ghost drifting in and out of CDM's view? I think it's a different one. I think that, Little Jim has got...
spin, I believe.
Well, yeah, Harv getting out the way. That's fair. I thought potentially he would go round past his teammate, but I don't think that's actually... I don't think the game would let him do that within blue flags to unlap himself, even if they were cooperating.
I think Lil Jim had to give Harv back the place because there's yellow flags all around, so that's why I see Lil Jim back off the throttle. And so he's still back behind Harv, and this has given Tally a 3-second advantage. Exactly what he wants. Yeah,
M. Chandler is chasing Chris Samet here. Chris Samet has gone onto hard tyres, missed that one, and he managed to do that before the safety car, so he's actually resumed back in 4th place, but jumped ahead of Taylor and Paul Harrison. Paul Harrison has dropped down several places after that restart, possibly just cold hard tyres, but it could be that he had some contact.
Yeah, the wings look alright on his car, so it either must have just been the warm-up phase. I've definitely had restarts where being on the slower and colder tyre can lose you so many positions, especially if the majority of the field...
I think that was Towney going wrong. No, was it Harv? I'm sorry, these identical cars, it was Harv. Harv turning round...
and another car's lost it. Z Pedro, as he ghosted through Harv, has lost it onto the grass now.
It must be really distracting for the drivers to try and navigate these ghosted cars. As much as you are happy to drive through them, sometimes their racing lines are very much in the way of your own.
We've seen Z Pedro not done this. He's done this before, and he's spun again coming off the grass. It's very difficult to warm up your tyres.
Chris Summit missed the apex badly and was slowed considerably through the centre S's. So he's lost a couple of places. H. Chandler and M. Chandler have really enjoyed that particular phase. They've both got past Chris Summit there.
CDM made an amazing move in the inside, and he's up into P2. I believe he's supporting Team Blue. Of course, he's got that new livery, but he's up into 2nd, and that's all he's caring about for now.
I think so. Yeah, you can see blue in front of him, I imagine, and he doesn't mind what his car looks like, but he just needs to warn the rest of his teammates. We're on lap 11 already, almost a 3rd distance, and it's Towney from CDM, Little Jim. Towney's got a 5-second lead, so that could really help. If there's another safety car very soon, he will dive into the pits, but somehow he's getting 11 laps out of these softs, Carrera. I'm not sure how he's doing that one.
He's got to, if he wants to go into the hards, but this will mean, although he might be losing time, he's actually created that 5.4 second gap from that safety car restart, so that's a perfect thing from him. But as well, he will get an advantage when it comes to the hards towards the end against his rivals, both Taylor and Paul Harrison.
Just seen Harv retire from the session and some yellow flags, Carrera. I don't know if he's safely retired in the pits or there's been an accident, because that could trigger another caution. We've got a fairly sustained yellow flag in Sector 1, and the cars are getting past him, so if I can go with Mr. Spin, we might see Harv's car somewhere.
And Moshi has lost it. Safety car from Moshi. Harv actually retired in the pit, so Moshi just lost it, obviously, on the curb. But now this is the crucial bit. Will Towney box? Surely he wants to.
He has to box, yeah.
Otherwise he's going to get only around 1 or 2 laps after the safety car, and I'm pretty sure that's not worth it.
No. Unfortunately, with the safety car delta, he's had to get right out of the throttle. Car's screaming past him. I don't know if his delta was reading different, but he lost all that advantage, that 5.5 seconds. He's now down to 5th before he's even got into the pits, Carrera.
Yeah, it's very odd, especially if you've got a delta to stick to. You can actually, if you're about to pit and you have that pit entry, you can actually push it and go above that, under that delta. So, because then the game will recognize you're pitting, so there's not really an issue. But he seemed to go slow even in the pit entry, so I'm not sure what happened there. But he's out now and he's going on to the mediums, so he's not going to the end, I think. He must be doing a 2-stopper here.
It's going to be difficult to get to the end on medium tyres for sure. Yeah, that's very, very strange strategic call. Perhaps he knows something we don't. I would kind of be expecting some of these medium runners even to come in under a safety car just to get a cheap pit stop, but CDM and Little Jim on 12 lap old mediums, they haven't pitted yet and they're still out there. H. Taylor, Chris Samet on hards, and they've come up to 3rd and 4th now. No such luck for Paul Harrison, who's still in 7th place. He was right behind H. Taylor at the front of the race at the start of proceedings. And I think then you've got Chandler, Mogi, is it Pedro have all put hards on? Ratho's even come out on softs.
This is going to be a very odd race towards the end because we've got so many different drivers on different lap old tyres. We've got very young tyres, 0 laps, 4 laps, 5 laps, and we've got some medium runners on 12 lap tyres. Even actually speaking of the Pedro on 12 lap old hard. So it's going to be a tough one to see what strategy is best here, but in a way I could see why Townley's gone for the mediums, of course, because Paul Harrison and Taylor are going to be struggling a lot on those hards at the end, so maybe going on to the softs at the end could give him that little advantage, but we'll wait and see.
Maybe gambling on another safety car period, which we very much hope won't happen. We're down to, I think, 13 runners now, as Moshe will get overtaken by Mr. Spin shortly. Although Mr. Spin may be driving with AI because he's going very slowly at the moment. I think. Let's have a look at what he's up to. He's in the middle of the pack and hasn't overtaken the 2 most recent retirees. I guess he was lapped by them as well in the first lap incidents. Can still see lights on the safety car at the moment, and CDM in his lone special race livery here leads the race on 13 lap old mediums, though of course they've done probably 3 laps so far under safety car conditions, so they're not quite as old as they seem they are.
I don't believe CDM's expecting a safety car. Actually, the game's just answered that for me.
Yeah.
Safety car is in this lap. He's really on the back of that safety car, but now it's a very odd restart here. When does he pick to go? Does he pick it on the line? Does he pick it now? Because their opponents are going to have a tough time getting on the floor, because
he didn't have the option out of Yon Sao, did he? Because the safety car coming in so late didn't give him the opportunity to gap the rest of the field. Oh, there he goes, just as everyone's weaving. That was a smart move, and Taylor, even though he's on hard tyres, is right up with Little Jim. Not quite there to make an attempt. We've got yellow flags all through the lap, which is weird because we've only got cars in the first sector at this stage. But they come down Retro Posta again for the 15th time, and no change of position right at the front. These ghosted cars are really confusing matters for at least the commentators, if not the drivers. They see Towney trying to navigate the ghost of his teammate, who's not really helping him by getting out of the way. That must be...
The drivers are all struggling right now because it's yellow flag all around the track, so they can't overtake. So although they're faster, they just can't. And Towney's overlapped his teammate, but he's having to slow down because it's under yellow flags, and he's dropped back to 11th. This is absolute chaos now. Everybody can't overtake.
Seems to be very, very cautious, and suddenly cars are dropping very quickly back down the field because they've all been told to hand places back. They weren't paying attention to the yellow flags, Carrera, and Towney was, but perhaps not being helped by his teammate.
I'd expect his teammate would actually let him go, of course, because his teammate isn't going to be in the points, but that's what he must have done. But then, of course, Towney got that warning, give back the place.
Well, if the track is on yellow flags, surely Mr. Spin needs to be at racing speed for the sake of his teammate, because his teammate's not allowed to overtake him, whether he's a lap car or not.
It's a very confusing thing. I'd still expect lap cars to be allowed to overtake, but clearly not in this game. But this has really hurt him on this fight against Paul Harrison and Taylor. Yeah.
Well, Taylor is up into 3rd place and is staying close. Oh, a 5-second penalty for Towney. That's the game mechanics at fault, I really think, especially given that they've not given that same penalty to everybody else who screamed past the 2 yellow cars.
CDM are on it. He's on it.
Yeah.
The rest of the field is all going at max pace, so that's a real bummer for him to get a penalty. He's done nothing wrong, but he's just going to have to live with it and get over it and get on with it.
Definitely. Taylor is now right behind Little Jim, just pressuring. His tyres are being better condition at this stage of the race. It's fairly wide through the centre S. I think we'll only just close up a little bit through Desida de Lago following the DRS, because he lost out on the exit of the Curva del Sol. Into Ferradura. Love this corner. Ferradura just invites you to take more speed as the grip picks up on the track. So CDM still out there with Little Jim, but CDM pulling away from Little Jim at this stage, just getting a nice cushion for himself when he does need to pit and avoid the potential undercut. Paul Harrison and Chandler are together in the red team, and we've got 3 blue cars, 4th, 5th and 6th, after running around quite near the back previously. As we've seen, Carrera, this championship, the race, even on lap, even halfway stage, the race isn't finished, and changes are happening all the time. Taylor gets by Little Jim for 2nd place.
Yeah, the strategy, of course, so many different drivers on a completely different strategy, so it's a real tough puzzle to find out who's going to pit next, who's not, what tie can they go on to. So it's a mess of an order, but the race is going to unfold as the more laps we go through. So of course the only fight that we can see is the on-track battle.
Just Paul Harrison trying to get by the blue car of Sanchez. I think he's managed to do it, but it took 3 or 4 corners. Sanchez putting up a really good battle there. They dropped a bit back from AJM, who is Paul Harrison's next potential victim. Chris Samet, though, has got a bit of a gap, and it looks like Taylor is starting to gap Little Jim. You've got to say advantage H. Taylor in the race at the moment, Carrera, because he could well get those hards to the end, especially if he's not troubled by any rivals near him after they've pitted.
Yeah, he shouldn't be troubled by anyone, because CDM, I'm sure, has to box. In fact, he does actually. 18-lap-old mediums, he should start to feel a bit of wear and tear, as H. Taylor is actually closing into him. It was 1.5 after the restart, and it's now currently 1.1. As Ratho gets a 5-second penalty speeding in the pit lane. Another thing not to help him in this race tonight, but no. CDM has to pit, and Taylor is going to just focus at this point just to get these tyres to the end, as we see a spin from a yellow driver, and that's Townley. Townley's lost, unfortunately. He's going to lose a place as well to Z Pedro. Or is he not? Because Z Pedro is going to go around the outside.
He's holding on.
Can they leave enough space? He leaves enough. But
tires.
Townley's lost it.
Yeah, cold tyres or
Too
dirty
much
tyres.
curb.
And he's gone, touched one of those curbs trying to defend his position. And this goes from bad to the worst for the yellow team. I wonder, whether round again, whether the yellow team might want to change their colour, because I don't think yellow is helping them. Town is retired, Carrera.
It's turned into a disaster, and Chandler is out. I think he's lost it coming out on that main straight. I think he's maybe taking a bit of grass. Yes, he has. He's lost it. So our driver's going to pit and bet on the safety car, because that can well cause it, especially if it's in the middle of the track.
Absolutely.
But there's no information,
and CDM to start catching Taylor, as you were about to say. CDM has pitted, right?
CDM's pitted, but in fact he's gone to the soft, which is a very questionable strategy. But he did start on the medium, so he couldn't go onto another set of mediums. But it's a very, very tough strategy for him to call, of course, because the hards, he wouldn't be maximizing those tires. So I don't think he can. I think it's impossible to get, I believe, 16 laps, 17 laps on this compound. It's going to be a real struggle, unless he's going to go for another soft at the end.
Yeah, soft, couldn't he? So we'll see what CDM decides to do. But Little Jim's gone in as well this time, and I wonder what tyres he goes for. He started on the mediums, so medium wouldn't be a great option for him. And it looks like, is that softs as well? It looks like he's going to run a soft medium, a medium soft, potentially soft strategy here. Maybe that's exactly what CDM's got in mind. CDM's gone by, but Little Jim was serving a penalty in the pits there. Paul Harrison back up to P2 now, P3 now, with Chris Samet in second and Taylor in first place on lap 21.
Very odd thing to see Lil Jim give up that many places just to go into the softs, because like we said with CDM, it's going to be a massive struggle to get these tyres to the end.
Absolutely. Paul Harrison has got 10 seconds of penalties, so presumably that's 2 lots of 5, which he will have to serve in the pits. Well, that one's going to be strange. So he may be far higher on track than he actually will be at the end of this race. Towney's had some glitches, and he just discovering some of the new race glitches, unfortunately for him, in online lobbies. We know them all too well, unfortunately. Like I say, after a weekend full of races and a weekend full of safety cars, 2 complete lobby breakdowns for me this weekend. It's certainly been frustrating from my seat, and I can only imagine what it's like for the drivers. I think Mr. Spin or Kieran Rees actually had a disco and ended up, that's why he's still running, because the AI has taken over. Yellow team's sole representative really is now Ratho, with Mr. Spin just circulating under AI. I think he could still get points though.
Well, if we lose another driver and his AI stays until the end of the race, he could get points here, but depends on what the stewards think of that, of course, because it's not him driving. No, indeed. I would have thought that that the OBF1 head honchos will not allow that to score points or be a classified finish. Mogi is chasing down SR Sanchez. DRS is open, hard tyres on, and looks like he's going to get that move done nicely. Carrera, good move. Just keeping an eye out on our soft runners. CDM has really closed in with these tyres. He has to if he's going to have to box again, but he's making them work, and especially when he's had really low ERS, and as you can see now he's on 0, but he recharges it as he breaks into the corner, really closing in to the blue team. Yeah, well, we'll keep an eye on him. Yeah, as you say, gained half a second in about 4 corners there. Blue car's off. SR Sanchez has lost it. He just battled back with Mogi. We saw on screen while you were telling us about CDM. He stuck his nose up into Desida del Lago, and they made a little bit of contact. I think that might have put him onto the dirty side of the track. He's then touched a curb or gone a little bit too hot into the following corner and turned it round. Hopefully he'll carry on though and be able to regain some pace. CDM's now past AJM, and his next target is Mogi ahead. We've got a yellow flag, we've got someone in the wall. It's Paul Harrison. Paul Harrison is DNF'd in the wall, Carrera, and retired on to the left of the start-finish straight. I'm not sure we've made a lap without someone disappearing from the race. We're down to 10. Safety car. This is crucial now for the soft runners, because they need to get some good laps in. But it's going to be a very questionable choice if they're going to go off this softs. I'd expect they go off them and go to the mediums to get them to the end. Honestly, it's now about the perfect time for everyone to put new mediums on. I think Mr. Spin has done exactly that. But this is about if you want to run hard, hard and hot pace, you can do that in mediums to the end really comfortably. Yeah, I could expect Mogi to actually stay out, because his hards are only 10 laps old compared to 15 and 16 to Taylor's, and Taylor in the pits now. What will Chris Samet do? Into the pits as well. What will Mogi do now? Will anybody be brave enough to hold track position? Mogi not. Chris, sorry, CDM has gone around. Taylor on the softs.
Wow.
And
that's going to be a brave run to get softs to the end from here. Yeah.
11 laps is going to be challenging, but of course the fuel loads are really run down now, and the track's more rubbered in, so maybe that could be an alright call, but it's going to struggle on the last lap.
Paul Harrison's monitor turned off. That's a new one on me. When I've been playing for a lengthy period at the weekend or something, I've had my TV just have a message in the middle of it saying automatic turn off because it's getting hot, right? But you just press a key to stop it. But I don't know why it does it right in the center of the screen as well. It's the worst thing for racing games. That's where you're looking most of the time. But yeah, I can't believe Paul Harrison's monitor is turned off. Wow.
Yeah, that's an insane way to end your race. But I've had a thing where there's a feature on the new PS5 where if you switch your TV remote off, or if you switch your TV off, it'll switch your PlayStation off as well. And so I've multiple times accidentally switched the TV off, and it shuts down my game. So it's an annoying one, but luckily I've switched it off now, so I'm not going to be lagging out of any F1 races anytime soon.
No, man, that's so frustrating to have mechanical issues. But of course, mechanical issues are definitely part of motor racing. You can't expect to have perfect equipment every time. Things fail, even in the virtual world, and it's just as frustrating as when you're racing a real motorsport car. CDM is your leader, but bizarrely, he did not elect to pit Carrera. He's now dropping back. I think we've got to... No, he has dropped back under safety car conditions behind Taylor. So I'm confused again.
This is a very odd thing. Ooh, Lil Jim just closing in as if he wants to make an overtake. So the field is really confused here. Who's supposed to get track position? We've seen it with the lap cars, and Lil Jim seems like he's trying to make a move, but I don't see how that's going to work. But CDM's really going to struggle. He might be at an advantage on this restart, of course, because he put a bit of wear into these tyres, so they'll be in that sweet spot. But as the race goes on, he's going to start to struggle, especially with the whole grid on new tyres, except Ratho.
For me, it's very confusing because on 5-lap old softs, he's the only car who you can be pretty certain won't get his soft tyres to the end.
Yeah, he could have made that pit stop, and fine, he might have dropped down the grid, but I didn't think it would be that bad, and at least not be at a disadvantage. But
the only reason that CDM would have got
idea.
The only reason that CDM would have got overtaken by H. Taylor and it not be an issue is if CDM drove off the track while warming up the car. I wonder if that happened, because we didn't see a penalty notice for CDM, for Taylor, for overtaking under safety car conditions, but it is permitted if your rival goes off track.
Yeah,
Little Jim has got a massive run.
Yeah, Taylor had an amazing exit. CDM really didn't expect that, as he's got Lil Jim on the outside. Can he make it work? Yes, he can. A great move. And now he's going to hunt down Taylor as AJM gets 3-second penalty expected, probably for track limits now. Will CDM have a run at Lil Jim? No, he won't.
No, he doesn't have any DRS to attack with, unfortunately. It looks like Pedro is causing a bit of a roadblock for our drivers. I think AJM had a little struggle with him through the corner, and that probably put him off a little bit. Might have contributed to his track limit abuse penalty, unfortunately. CDM has made up 12 places so far in this race, which is pretty impressive. Ratho's gone up 5, SR Sanchez 5, but really, and Little Jim 6. But yeah, CDM, amazing. You said you felt he was doing a tactical manoeuvre in qualifying, potentially not going at his maximum pace. So maybe that's going to pay off for him in the end. But I fear he is going to have to pit again before the end of the race, or risk dropping off a cliff with these tyres.
Yeah, the worst thing you want is having a puncture when you've just got a few laps to go, even on the last lap. That's very possible. But a thing I've just realised, Lil Jim's actually on the 6th lap all soft, so he's not really out of the woods like Taylor is. So he's almost in the same situation as CDM. Of course, maybe one lap might make the difference. Of course, one lap can make the difference depending if you get a puncture or not on the final lap. But it's still not great. But he did have very good pace over CDM. So unless he can make these work, but he's going to have to do time management. Hopefully he can get them to the end. But he's going to have to do a massive amount of conserving those tyres.
Meanwhile, Taylor is absolutely setting the pace. He's got 2-second lead, and we're only 2 laps after the last safety car period. Really stretching it out. A little bit further down, SR Sanchez is close behind Mogi and gaining fast up the hill. DRS now enabled for the next straight for these drivers. So SR Sanchez closing on Mogi. Will cut down to the front because I think CDM has got a run on Little Jim. No, not quite. Won't be doing anything on this straight. Cars just closing within each other, and it seems to be going no DRS down the grid, and that will help the cars pass each other, no doubt. So 10 runners remain, although we think it's actually 9 runners because Mr. Spin is slowly getting lapped with his AI, his car. So we suspect that Mr. Spin won't score points tonight. It's one red team, one red car left, one yellow car has a human driver in it, 2 greens and 4 blues. I'm not sure who Zepedro is representing. I think it's the green team, but no, potentially it's the red team actually for Zepedro, looking at the representation for the rest of the grid. Taylor scored a penalty, Carrera just now. I've seen that so many times before. Late penalties, most famously with Pistol.
Yeah, of course the tyres started to drop off, but he's still on pretty fresh tyres, so a little bit odd. But he's not safe currently to Lil Jim, but of course they're Lil Jim's tyres, 8-lap old tyres compared to Taylor's 4, so Taylor should be alright to get these to the end and extend the gap.
It'd be quite a heroic effort if Little Jim and CDM managed to stay within 3 seconds and get their tyres to the end.
We've seen some insane finishes around here in Interlagos with penalties, so it's all to play for here.
Lots of action between the 2 blues of AJM, SR Sanchez, and the green of Mogi here in the midfield. Lots of side-by-side action. I don't think the cars haven't traded places just yet. These guys should all be fine to the end of the race. Potentially Mogi will be pushing hard to the end instead of preserving tyres, and he gets by around the outside of turn 1 under DRS aided, but nonetheless Mogi away on those yellow medium tyres, and it could be advantage Mogi right now with being so high up on medium tyres to Carrera, because it could be that 2 cars have to pit ahead of him.
Yeah, this is the tough situation now. If Lil Jim and CDM are going to pit, they have to do it now to maximise the tyres. Otherwise, if they do it when there's only 1 or 2 laps to go, then there really is no purpose to pitting. But this is looking very good for Team Blue. Of course, we suspect CDM is racing for Team Blue, obviously, with that different livery. Of course, we've got Chris Sammer in P4. We've got Mogi interrupting the Team Blue, but AJM and SL Sanchez P6 and P7. So this is looking really good for their points tonight.
Definitely, yeah. Could be we end up with new constructors leading, because the blue team were only 8 points behind the red team at the start of tonight's race, so that could be pretty cool. Whoa, a very, very late lunge down the outside by SR Sanchez. Happened to be riding on board with him. I think he missed his braking point. I don't think it was deliberate. But he's back.
Definitely very late, but he's managed to keep within his teammate, as his teammate having a look on Mogi. It's going to be a tough situation now. They need to come into the team player now. Whoever's the faster blue car, let him through and try and take Mogi, try get through Mogi. So it's going to be interesting, but they
that
keep
move
closing
reminded
in.
me of a certain someone else who was driving an AlphaTauri a couple of weekends ago, Carrera, who had a Code Brown moment around the outside of Turn 1 in Bahrain.
I wonder who.
Remind you of anyone? That was very entertaining. I watched that several times, I have to admit.
Yeah, it brings a bit of flashbacks, that does. But
Little Jim, I think, is in the wall. No, I think his tyres are gone. Is he risking a puncture? He's gone very slowly.
He's let AJM through. Yeah. This could be a double blue team podium here. But of course, if Lil Jim's tyres are gone, it could happen to CDM as C. Pedro is gone. I think he's retired from the final corner. It's a safety car.
Not again.
Is this the time we're going to see CDM pit, but for only one lap? I presume it's only going to be one lap of racing.
I mean, it's not worth it.
Because safety car takes around 2 laps.
You don't want to give up your second place for the sake of a single racing lap, right?
I think CDM would stay out because he's got that barrier of his teammate in P3, and of course they're not going to want to fight. So I think he should be alright, but
he's actually on for a win potentially here, Carrera, because of the penalty of Taylor.
And that's something I've just forgot there.
Yeah.
That is the worst thing for Taylor. He's gonna have to get that time in around 1 lap, I'd expect. We have seen safety cars actually last for 3 laps, of course. So as it hits lap 34, he could be on for a 1 lap race.
He's going to be praying nobody gets it wrong and retires during this safety car. Now there are rumours that the safety car must come in with 2 laps to go, or at least won't come out with fewer than 3 laps to go. But I don't know exactly how it works. I haven't seen a safety car run beyond the penultimate lap. So we'll see if it does go to 3 laps, but he's still catching Taylor as we speak. It's lap 34 with Taylor with a 3-second penalty, just caught the safety car. CDM behind him, that gap that was up to 6 seconds will be down to nothing. Chris Sammer is in 3rd place and Mogi in 4th. Then we've got 2 lots of penalties for Little Jim and AJM. Little Jim must be really gutted to have that situation happen. Whatever happened on track, whether it was a little spin or a tyre related running wide or something, I'm not entirely sure, but Little Jim has a penalty and dropped down several places from the podium.
We could see a very crazy start back to this final race as we see safety car in this lap. This is going to be exceptionally crucial because a few drivers have penalties. So they've got around 2 laps once Taylor gets underway. They've got 2 laps to try and build a gap here. But of course they're going to be in each other's slipstream and this could be a massive train. Absolutely.
CDM's connection looks really poor as well. He isn't right up with Taylor. So he's given up half a second just in that restart, sadly. Mogi looks to be getting by Little Jim, I think. And he's caught a penalty. So that's ruined his bid for the podium at this point. I think Taylor won't struggle to get away. Taylor has got half the gap he needs already, Carrera, on these red tyres. These younger tyres, Taylor is at racing speed already, screaming around the track.
This is the worst scenario. This is the worst scenario for CDM. He's on 14 lap all tyres. He's going to be struggling to keep within. I wouldn't be surprised if CDM lets Chris Ammett go. Otherwise, they could actually lose out to first for both of their 2 drivers. So the question is now, does CDM let his teammate through and try and at least secure a win? Because Taylor's got 1 more lap to build 1 second. He's already built 1.9 currently from that lap, and now as you can see 2 seconds. So he's done a very good job, but he's got to get another whole second.
But he's pushing really hard here, isn't he? He's really pushing, and that could be a route to another error.
Yeah, you can see the rear sliding out of turn 2 there, but he had enough traction to keep with it. What is his time? He's not even a 10th up made from this first sector. As we speak now, it's still 2.0, 2.1. He needs more,
Yeah.
but he doesn't have much ERS to do it.
Has he taken
Neither
too
does
much out of the
CDM.
tyres as we close this lap out? Because CDM's actually catching him now.
This is a very odd scenario because CDM should be the one struggling the most here, but he's starting to keep that gap and try and catch up. But I don't think Taylor's got it. He's going to have to pull out a mega final corner.
This is shades of the OBF1 versus Delta Pace League versus League battle that I had the privilege to commentate at Brazil. Taylor, 2.2 seconds, 2.3 seconds. To try and take the win, 2.4 seconds ahead of CDM, who will get the win in Brazil. Wow, closes it out, and Chris Samet stays on the podium with SR Sanchez, his teammate, in fourth. What a night for the blue team after all the drama we saw, Carrera. What an incredible finish.
Oh, crazy end. It's unfortunate that it ends under penalties from that, but
yeah,
of course, if that is the majority of those track limits come from your errors, so it just proves CDM did have a better drive, but it still was a very good race.
It was. CDM, I think that's something in the region of 13 or 14 places gained, and he got driver of the day, so I'm sure he'd be very happy with that. Taylor and the purple suit in second place, and Chris Samet, not the first time we've seen him, right up there in OBF1. I know we've talked to him before in a podium interview, and that was amazing. What a race. It's fast-paced, frenetic action in OBF1 multiplayer Mondays, and we're finished already. I can't quite believe it. Take us through the grid if you would, Carrera, please.
Yes, an amazing drive from P15 to P1. CDM takes the win with Taylor P2, P3 for Chris Amit, SR Sanchez P4, Mogi P5 with Lil Jim P6, AJM in P7 with Raffo P8 and P9 for Mr. Spin, the last finisher, but could not get points probably. We don't know that.
Yep.
But Z Pedro P10, Paul Harrison and M Chandler P11 and P12, Towney P13 after a horrible spin that ruined his race, Moshi in P14 with Harv in P15, Golden Wolf finishes the grid in P16.
Yeah, thanks for that. Wow, indeed, that was something else. Tonight's multiplayer Monday race. We've come to expect fantastic races. I hope it doesn't change just because you're going to leave us, Carrera. But yeah, what a privilege it's been to commentate these first 4 races for OBF1's Power Ranger League. Any reflections or thoughts that strike you immediately?
No, very surprised to see that final safety car come out so late, and that little sprint. It's always really cool to end a race with a 2 or 1 lap sprint. So
yep.
Just an amazing race overall, plenty of action, and you just don't know what's going to happen.
No, absolutely. Well, I know that the OBF1 guys have really appreciated your commentary and you turning up week after week, and I'm sure they hope to see you again when it's next convenient for you and your schedule. But Carrera fan, I'll extend my thanks to you. It's been very enjoyable to commentate these first 4 races with you. I've got one more left with OBF1 and this particular league, but the races will continue and the championship will continue further on into the rest of the season. Yeah, I think it's a little bit late where we are, and I know it's even later where you are, Carrera. So I think we probably better close it off tonight. Yeah, farewell to you and our appreciation, and thank you everyone for watching along. Give us a like and a subscribe if you can, and we will catch you all on the next race day.